Hello, my name is Erin Barnes, and thank you for joining me live here on Facebook today as we answer the questions that you might have before taking that step to become a teacher here at EPIC. We've got a panel of teachers and principals and HR today to help me with this live Q&A. We've grabbed several of the questions that have come through before we started the event. And if you've got a question that you have that's just burning and you haven't heard us answer it, go ahead and put it in the chat box and we will do our best to get to those questions as they come in. Thank you. As I said, my name is Erin Barnes. I'm the Director of Communications here at EPIC Charter Schools. I've got Regina Bell. She is a teacher here at EPIC. She's starting her third year at EPIC. We've got Glennis Coleman, who is a special education teacher. We've got Shauna Sawkill, who is the head of HR, and Adam Wilhelm, principal at EPIC Charter Schools. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
All right. So let's get started. I don't want people to have to wait too long. Obviously, we'd like them to have time to get in and get affiliated with the setup here. But Regina, why don't you walk us through what a typical day or a typical week looks like as an EPIC teacher?
I think the main thing you need to know is that every day is different. It's not like you're teaching math at 10 o'clock or reading at 8 a.m. It's different every day depending on who you're seeing. One day you may be on the ground cutting and playing with puppets, and then the next hour, you may have a scientific calculator out working with a high school student. So it's very different. I like the aspect that I control my schedule. I know when I'm going to meet the students. I can work how I want to work, whether I do older kids all in one day, younger kids on a different day, or kind of mix in between to keep it going. So I think the main thing to know about an EPIC teacher is that you're in charge. If you have an appointment, you just schedule around your appointments. There's not sub plans or anything like that. So for me, I'm not much of a morning person, so most of my meetups start about 10 o'clock. And because I am an empty nester, I meet some high school students in the evening, but that's because I choose to do that. Other teachers don't do that. So that's the best thing, is that you're in control. And I believe that every day looks different depending on how you need to service and help your children.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. I definitely, I have been a teacher in this model as well. And the variety that you get in a day, being able to teach U.S. history and then turn around and teach adding and subtracting fractions is awesome. You're always, I don't know, it keeps you fresh on everything. I kind of feel smarter all the time, being able to teach all the different grade levels. Glennis, I know that so many people who have taught special education are wondering this question. How on earth can you actually see all your special education students and meet their IEP needs in this model?
Well, for me, what I found most effective is collaboration. And EPIC teachers are a wealth of knowledge. One thing that has been very helpful is EPIC Live. It's a tool that EPIC teachers have started where a teacher commits to hosting a class, and her roster then is able to take any courses available on EPIC Live. And what I've appreciated most about that model, it affords itself to that inclusive classroom concept. So you have special education students in the same classroom as general education, so that you're getting just a real good opportunity for some of that social emotional interaction. In addition, teachers can do one-on-ones or groups. They can meet an hour at a time, 30 minutes at a time. As I've gone through EPIC and practiced, the best schedule for me and working with my students, I've even come up with the help of my current principal, the concept of meeting in 30-minute increments where students that have attention needs or attention concerns, we meet briefly. We can address their IEP goals and needs in that period of time, and boom, they're acquainted with another skill to meet their Oklahoma academic standards. And other teachers have come up with collaborative models. We would meet occasionally at Okmulgee Library when we were able to, and we sort of did a rotational thing. One teacher was very well versed in this area or trained in that area, and we would just rotate our students. So students' IEP goals were being met. In addition, they were getting Oklahoma academic standards met and some functional and behavioral issues that sometimes it's difficult to put in your schedule. But the models that the teachers at Epic have come up with do address some of those needs in the IEP, and the teachers are really good at picking up and taking the ball where it needs to be when we know our students needs need to be met. So it's just a wonderful experience. Again, Epic gives you the opportunity to be creative and innovative with how you meet those needs. And we always touch base with our students and our families to make sure that what we are doing with them works. And when it doesn't work, we're able to just go back and figure out what the individual needs of that child is so that we can best serve them.
I love that here at Epic, in the world of special education, you've got the IEP. Every student in Epic has an ILP that we follow. So it's almost as if every student in this school has a learning plan that is followed by the teacher, that it's a parent and teacher compact based on what the kid needs. Robert, thank you for your question. Robert asks, can I teach at Epic if I have a health and PE degree? Robert, the answer is yes. I will not just be teaching PE. You will be teaching all subjects. And so you'll want to refresh on some of those things, but we've actually put things into place so that if you're not a calculus teacher, we can still help you get your child or your student the best education in calculus. I myself was an elementary education certified teacher, and I have pre-K kiddos. One of my favorite conversations in the first year of teaching here was I was given half a roster of pre-K and kindergarten students, and I just thought, that's not my degree certification. And they said, well, if you want to teach here at Epic, it will be. So you just get familiar with those, the standards. They're on the State Department website. We give them to people. You teach what your kiddo, you teach them what they need. Let me see, Adam, can you explain what teaching with data looks like? Isn't data just telling a one-sided story?
I want to touch upon just something that you were talking about before there. I mean, even though you might be a health or PE teacher, there's still, like Regina said, there's a lot of, or like Lana said, there's a lot of collaboration as well. I mean, there's so many opportunities for teachers to be involved with other teachers across the state, or even in their own direct, communities, that they can really help each other out when needed. I mean, I was a teacher at Epic for 7 years before I was a teacher or principal for the past 3, and the collaboration that would happen, it kind of happens very natural. You would have teachers that are high level in math or focused on math, and some teachers that are focused in language arts, and those teachers would come together and just find each other. Or even with the opportunities that we have with Epic Live, or with some of our groups, our own internal groups or external groups that we have through our school, there's plenty of opportunities to, as you're strengthening areas that you consider yourself weak in, to have other people that are you're helping and piggybacking off with. So I do think that is one thing. It is a sense of community. And even as a principal, the fact that I have 25 teachers, which I'll touch upon later as well, that's my direct team. We are still all part of a greater good. We also are part of the greater school of Epic. And that's something where principals collaborate, teachers collaborate consistently. And it's something where we're all trying to do what's best for each individual student. And I mean, that kind of goes into, we do have a lot of data. Obviously, we're a virtual school, and we have a lot of, virtual curriculum. We have online curriculums that we use. We also have offline supplementals that we kind of fill in with them. And each one of those entails a point that we can measure where students are. But measuring students doesn't necessarily put them into a column or into a row of a data or of a spreadsheet. it just gives us information that we can better serve our students with. And that really comes back to something that we'll touch upon a lot, and I touch upon consistently with my team, is the relationships that our teachers have with their families. I mean, we are an individualized learning environment where we, as Erin touched upon, the ILPs are for each kiddo. We are trying to mold and create a platform for our students to be successful for the rest of their lives. And if it is just a one-year model right now where students are coming in because of uncertainty in a crisis education, or if it's something where we're establishing relationships and we've had students for 10 years. You know, there's teachers on my roster right now that have had students since second grade, that started with them in second grade 10 years ago, and they're seniors this year. So there's also that, you know, that bond, that relationship, that foundation that has been established where these teachers, through their own growth models, have helped with scholarships, have helped with classes that they never thought that they would work in, you know, whether it be a high level math and algebra 2, you know, or calculus or pre-calculus, or whether it be working on language arts projects for third graders and they were a high school teacher. I mean, you adapt, you overcome, as I know many teachers most likely have in the classroom when your classes change or your students change or the educational, you know, evolves, what we're teaching evolves. And that's something that EPIC has been on the forefront for since its inception. We're constantly looking at what's best for our families, what's best for our students, and what's going to continue to change. So data is something that we utilize. It might be monitoring a benchmark to see where a student scores or where a student is ranked, and to see what standards we have to fill in if students are behind, or what standards we have to continue to advance if students are ahead. Or it might be monitoring, you know, what curriculum is being done and creating schedules for students. So the data is something that is there, and it's always there, as it is in any school setting, but it more comes down to, again, the relationships and how we're going to utilize that data to go forward with our students throughout for their future.
Excellent. And Lizzie, I hope that that helped to answer one of your questions about being proficient in all subjects and all grade levels. Another thing EPIC has done, you may or may not have heard of it, but Focus Eduvation is a tutoring platform that is based in the greater Boston area. EPIC partnered with FEV Tutor several years ago to provide 24/7, around the clock, no matter whose schedule we're on, assistance on schoolwork. And so you may be that calculus teacher who thinks, I just don't know how to teach reading. We've got things in place, not only with other teachers, but with the Focus Eduvation partnership that will help your kiddos no matter what. I want to ask, Angie I'm sorry, did somebody else want to chime in there? Okay, so Angie has a question. She says, I have friends that have worked full-time as private school teachers at the same time that they worked for EPIC, but with a smaller roster. Is this still practice? Honestly, Angie, we are trying to move away from that. We want our teachers 100% focused on their students here at EPIC. It was allowed in the past as a way to, when we've had smaller growth pockets, help service kiddos, but we're really looking for teachers to take the full-time plunge at this point. You may or may not know, we've grown to be the largest school in the state, and we're looking for teachers who are fully invested in their students that they're receiving here. We've also got another question from Jessica. She says, I'm certified early childhood. Will I have to take certification tests in those other grade levels? And Jessica, no, you will not have to take that certification test. Charter schools are just kind of operating under different rules, and that's a lot of what people don't get sometimes with us, but you do not have to have a certification in every subject to teach every subject. I hope that that helps. Ainsley's wondering, what is EPIC doing different this year to support teachers with their own children at home during this pandemic? And that's a great question, Ainsley. Nothing different than we've done before. I have been in this model for 10 years, and my kids have been home all 10 of those years working on their schoolwork. My husband is also a teacher here, and so we teach our children with the same gusto that we would teach every other kiddo around. I hope that that helps. Ladies, Regina, how often do you meet with your students? Where do you meet them? And does it have to be in person?
Well, prior to COVID, I did meet with my students in person because I feel that that relationship is very important to have. But we would meet at the libraries, we would meet in their homes, we would meet on whatever the family felt best. That's the main thing, is that we want to make sure that our families are, it works for them. We don't want them driving millions of miles if they can't get there. So we service our families and do what's best for each family. When COVID hit, it was a little hard for me because I saw all my students on a regular basis in person. And so we moved over to Zoom and Google Meets, just like the rest of the school world. But that is how we're still meeting. Epic has given us a great option to meet virtually with our students. It does have to be agreed upon with both parties. Our parents and the teachers have to agree that they want to both be virtual. And if another family wants to meet with a person, a teacher that in person, they have to agree upon that. So Epic has given us a lot of ways to feel safe during this pandemic. I think the one thing that Epic did great during when the school shut down in March, nothing really changed other than the fact that I wasn't seeing my kids in person. They finished their curriculum. They kept on going. We benchmarked at the end of the season to see where they were. So I really felt that our kids finished strong. They finished all their curriculum. And this year, I feel that with some new students coming in, you're going to see how Epic can help work through this health crisis right now.
Awesome. Shauna, can you talk about how the salary works? How is pay calculated here?
Yes, well, for our new teachers, we have two different options, but traditionally Epic has paid on a per student model, and there's a rate for regular education and a rate for special education students. And those students that are on your roster are the ones that you are paid for each month. And then also, when you are paid your bonus at the end of the year, that is also based on those same students on your roster and various things that they calculate for that. But when new teachers come, we know sometimes it's kind of scary to switch over to the per student compensation. So a couple years ago, we added an opt-in salary, which is a base salary to just get you started as you build your roster. And then once your roster reaches that level of that salary, then you start being paid per student. So I hope that helps.
So Krista is asking, what's the time frame for the hiring process and when does school start? School has always started the Tuesday after Labor Day here. We start in September. As for the hiring process, we hire year round based on needs. We aren't changing our system just because we've grown so much. We have a hiring process that looks like an initial interview, and based on that initial interview, you'll get a case study, or we'll say thank you very much for your time. The case study shows us that you can read data and can help identify special needs and interests for the student. And after the case study process, you'll get another interview, and that next interview kind of goes through the case study and gives you reasoning for what's going on with the students that you've identified needing help in that case study. We have a very rigorous hiring process, and we do not intend to change that process just because we've got, families enrolling in excess at this point. There's no other way to say it. Beth is asking, do students select their teachers or are they assigned to us? And Beth, that's a great question. Students can select you. That is a great benefit to being here. Some students know you and want to come directly to you. We will assign students to you, though, if we need to make sure your roster gets filled. Let me see here.
Erin,
Glynis? Yes.
may I comment on that too?
Yes,
I
please.
just wanted to share that even though you are selected, especially in special education, you are the special education department makes those initial setups, and parents can select a teacher. But as the academic year goes on and you find that something doesn't work out and that teacher student connection isn't the best, you can speak with your principal and your teacher to let them know that, this isn't working out. We may need to consider another teacher. And that option is also open to students. And that just says more about the flexibility of Epic. But if that needs to happen, that can happen.
Thank you so much for adding. That was a great addition to that conversation. Lynette wants to know, are you still hiring for this school year? If so, are we able to leave our district? And Lynette, that's a great question. It's a scary question. The answer is we really don't want anybody burning their bridges. If you've made a commitment to a school, we're not interested in ticking people off and you burning a bridge with that school. However, you can come if you have not signed a contract yet, if you've been holding out. Yes, we are hiring for this school year, and you would just go to our website and go to the career section and fill out that application. We have another question here from Lacey, who is wondering, how many hours a day do students work on their curriculum? How do we try out or learn about the different curriculum options? That's a great question, Lacey. Adam, why don't you answer that question for me?
So it all really depends on grade level of our students. And on the students' obviously abilities. Average pre-K, kindergarten, first graders, you're really talking anywhere between an hour and a half to 2.5 hours separated and scheduled out throughout the day. That allows the student to be engaged, but also not to be overwhelmed. Students, as you get into high school and you have 6 credit hours, and some students take advanced credit of 7 or 8 credit hours or concurrent enrollment classes, that could vary obviously by the student load and what grade they're in as well. But most times you're looking at 4 to 6 hours, again, scheduled, intelligently throughout the day. You have to remember within a traditional brick and mortar or in other school settings, for high school students, there's in between time. There's, hall time or get to your locker time or scheduled time and lunchtime and everything else. We don't have all of that kind of built into each class. It's really whenever the student, gets up, gets situated at hopefully their learning environment and gets kind of going. And then as they go through their lessons, their quizzes, their tests, midterms, finals, everything in between, it's really at their own pace. But on average, about 4 to 6 hours for high school, and then middle school kind of varies per student in between. We have had students in the past that they can spend up to 8 to 10 hours, and that's something that we as teachers and educators and even as principals really try and have those conversations with the student and their family to be much more calculated, to make sure that their time awareness, time management is better, and that they're not just for lack of better terms, wasting time. But anywhere from 2 to 6 hours is a normal day for students. Obviously, as Regina said, for teachers, that can vary as well. You have some teachers have students that are early birds and they'll meet them 6, 7, 8 a.m. for a class or for a meeting, and others will be working late into the evening. And again, that's the flexibility that you have for your own schedule. Even to piggyback on with your own kids, it might be something where with you're homeschooling or you're having some of your own children enrolled in Epic, that you set aside from noon to 3 is going to be your teaching time, but then you're going to make up that time later in the day, and from 6 to 9 you have a classroom or you have availability for students to reach out to you. So it kind of all just varies. And Aaron, what was the second part of that question? I didn't really. Second part of the question.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm going to go ahead and ask Shauna. We've got another question from Megan. Megan wants to know, if we work at Epic, are there benefits? Is there insurance? Shauna, can you touch on that for us?
Yes, we know how important it is for employees to have benefits, especially health insurance and retirement, those types of things. So we manage that within our HR department. Currently, the plans that are offered are the same that the brick and mortar schools provide through the state. There's PPO options and HMO options for health, and then there's a flex benefit, it's called, that the state pays in. And we give that same amount. Currently, it's $615.90, which is to offset the cost of benefits. We also offer dental and vision, just like most of the brick and mortar schools do. And we have an employer paid life insurance policy that we added this last year. It's a $100,000 accidental death and dismemberment policy that Epic pays, and you choose the beneficiaries. And then you have the option to purchase additional life insurance through the state. Teacher retirement, all certified teachers in Oklahoma are required to participate. And so we 2 years ago added that we pay 100% on the contribution for teacher retirement for all of our teachers and staff. So you don't have to pay anything into that in order to be participating. We pay that on your behalf, which is a great benefit. And we also offer a 403B for additional retirement savings if someone was to want to do that. And let's see, I'm looking over at my list real quick to make sure I don't forget anything. We also have the educational benefit. After a 1-year waiting period, you are welcome to apply to the educational benefit program, and it is where we will reimburse you for current student loan or even previous student loan payments that you make on a monthly basis, and then you'll be reimbursed for that. We also, our teachers do drive to meet our students, and so you are paid mileage for that. And that helps with, not only the gas, but also the maintenance and those types of things for your car.
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things to go back over is that Epic fully pays into that teacher retirement system. That is huge. That's huge.
It's like a 7% raise, basically. It's like a 7% increase, because that's the amount that you would be paying in is 7% of your salary. So we pay that in for you so you don't have to.
Excellent. One follow-up to that, Shauna. Angie wants to know, are the bonuses considered salary as far as retirement is concerned?
The bonuses are not taken into account for retirement with OTRS, the Oklahoma Teacher Retirement. That's one reason we set up the 403B. Some of our teachers take advantage of that program, and they put money from their bonus into that. One benefit I failed to mention, we do offer insurance through American Fidelity. That is employee paid, but a lot of teachers take advantage of the disability policies or the cancer or accident policies. So we do give all of our employees the option of participating in those as well.
Is asking, is Epic bringing on Epic certified teachers this year? Is there another route other than you teach? And the answer is yes. We will hire certified teachers. The You Teach program is something we started last year that helps people without teaching degrees or even an emergency certificate come on and get a job here. It basically helps them to become alternatively certified through the special education platform. But there are other ways to be hired outside of the You Teach program. Let me see. Regina, can you speak to the work-life balance? How is it different here than in a traditional setting? And I know you've been in a traditional setting for a long time before you came to Epic.
Yeah. I was in brick and mortar for 30 years before I came to Epic. So I think the biggest difference is, for me, when you office out of your home, I really had to make a conscious effort not to go by my office and sit down and type an email, because it's always there. When you're in brick and mortar, a lot of times you can walk out, maybe take some papers home to grade, but you're away from work. With Epic, we are year round. So that was a little different getting used to, but that doesn't mean that, you don't get to take your vacations or breaks or whatever. Like I said, you work your schedule when you need to work it. And by being year round, we stay in touch with our students. Our summer bridging program really helps bring up our kids that are below grade level to help them throughout so they can reach their goals for the next year. I think the main thing with balancing with Epic is the same as it would be anywhere else. You've got to set boundaries. You've got to communicate with your families when you're available, when you're not available. I tend to answer my phone a little more than I probably should on weekends and at nights, but that doesn't mean it has to be that way. Your families really, they get to know you, they get to respect your time, and they know what you're going through. So I really feel that balancing is in the teacher control. You're in the driver's seat of how much you want to work and when you're going to work. And that's the main thing about.
Awesome. Shauna, Cheryl is wondering, what does a roster size look like to be considered full-time?
Our teachers are full-time with 16 or more students. We prefer to have teachers, we kind of see the sweet spot as being around 31, and first-year teachers can have as many as 35. Some of our more veteran teachers, once they've shown their proficiency and their students are doing well, they will be able to take on more students at that time. But first-year teachers, the most you can have is 35.
Excellent. Thank you. Crystal wants to know, will interviews be held online this year? And Crystal, yes, our interviews are always held online. Actually, that's the first part of the test to see if you can come to Epic. We need to know what your technology skills look like. And so interviews, the case study, it's all online. Adam, how many teachers is a principal responsible for?
So we have specialized principal rosters. Well, I'm a reg ed principal, so I'm right now responsible for anywhere up to 25 teachers at any given time. And then for our SPED principals, they're responsible for anywhere up to 20 teachers. And obviously with that, with roster sizes varying, that can be anywhere from 900 students or 700, 800 students to well over 1,000 students to get them at any time throughout the year.
Excellent. So one question that was asked ahead of time is, what if there's a retreat in student enrollment after the pandemic? Will we be laying off teachers? And I thought that was a really great question, one that I didn't have the answer to. So I went to our our superintendent, Bart Banfield. He said, absolutely not. More than half of the students that are coming to us this year are telling us it has nothing to do with the coronavirus. We could have a 20% reduction in students tomorrow and we'll still be underhired. More than anything, in the decade that Epic has been around, a teacher has never been worse off financially than they were at brick and mortar. So we do not foresee the needs of layoffs or downsizing in any way, even after the retreat, if there is one. Let me see here. Rin wants to know, do students initially choose their own curriculum? Glynis or Regina, do you want to take that?
I can do it.
I can start and maybe Regina can finish.
Whoever.
Go for it,
Glynis.
Regina.
Oh, for me. Okay. When it comes to the curriculum, you heard Aaron talk about an ILP. An ILP is an individual learning plan. And once you get placed on a teacher's roster, that teacher will contact you and will set up kind of like a back to school meeting and plan out your year. At that time, you can search, you can talk to the curriculums, you can look at them. They're also on our Epic website. You can check and see little, sometimes some YouTube videos, read about them. But really, the trust is with the teacher. The teachers will talk to you, get to know what your student needs, how they learn, and try to pick the best curriculum for you and your child. Epic, I always use this, that Epic is a triangle. There's the student, the teacher, and the parent. And all three are very, very important. And they have to communicate with each other and they have to work as that triangle to help have a successful student. So with that, it always is the parents' kind of final choice, but the parents research it, they go with the teacher, they come together, and they basically work out a plan that's going to work out best for that child. And that's how we go about picking our curriculum. And like I said, you can look on the Epic website and see all the different curriculums that we offer.
Regina, I
And
thought
I would
your
add,
triangle, real quick,
My
I thought your
No, I was
triangle
just gonna-
analogy was the best, because regardless of whether it's an equilateral triangle, a scalene, or an isosceles, See, we're geeking out here a little bit. It doesn't matter what the sides
Ah,
look
that's
like.
cute.
Everybody does have their role in that triangle.
Mhm. Right.
They do. And for
Sorry, I cut you off, but
students in particular, oh, that's okay. I know for SPED students in particular, selection of curriculum can be challenging, especially when parents just don't feel comfortable or feel they have the understanding. They would need to pick the best curriculum for their students. And again, what EPIC allows you to do early on in the semester, if that curriculum's not working for the student, you can go through and select something that's more appropriate. For SPED students, we use a variety of things that supplements that aren't necessarily part of the core, but as the year progresses and we see that something else might work better for that student, we're able to just go ahead and apply that, depending on what the curriculum is. So again, there's a great deal of flexibility as to how curriculum is selected, what's the most appropriate curriculum for students, and if something is not working, which is what I want to emphasize, it allows you mid-season, midterm, mid-time to change to best suit the needs of that child and the family, because parents do play a vital role in making sure students are adjusting to their curriculum. So, they're part of that mix, but there is flexibility when things don't quite fit.
awesome. And guys, we've gone over that 30-minute mark. I wanted to make sure we hit all of the questions that were coming through. Let me see here. Our teachers. Okay, so I'm going to answer one more question though. It just came through from Jennifer, and Jennifer's asking, are teachers trained on how to choose curriculum for families? Jennifer, anybody else who's still watching, teachers are trained here like crazy. That's one of the things we take pride in, is our teacher training setup. In the brick and mortar world, it was about maybe 10 to 12 years ago, the state did away with the stipend that comes along with mentoring teachers. It was up to schools to decide whether they were going to continue to mentor first and second year teachers. In our model, we've got a position. We've got several people in that position. It is their full-time job to make sure brand new teachers are coming on and are successful in this model. There is a huge learning curve to what we do, and we know that. And so we want to make sure that every teacher has the support in place to be able to help their students the best they can. And so, Jennifer, to answer your question, yes, we do train teachers on how to best pick that curriculum. We've got an EPIC University, which is a digital platform you can watch at your own leisure to become proficient in those curriculums. But your director of teacher development will also be with you every step of this school year to help you make the best decisions for those kids. All right, guys, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much to my panel for coming and helping answer these questions. If you're interested in becoming a teacher at EPIC Charter School, go to our website, epiccharterschools.org. You're going to find the careers section, and you're going to see a long list of different positions we're hiring for. If becoming a special education teacher or a regular education teacher doesn't sound like you're ready for it, there are other positions we're hiring for here this year, but we need you. And so if you're watching this and you're just not sure, hopefully we gave you the answers to your questions to be able to take the plunge and come join the EPIC team. Thanks.